There's going to be people in your life at times who feel very, very comfortable abusing and using you, exploiting your gifts. And the reason why they get so comfortable because they don't see consequences, because they expect if there would be a consequence, it will come from you. And you, they don't think highly of, right? But they do at the same time. So let's get into it. And this is going to be another layered teaching, so it may come back to back. But some people believe that they're extracting from you because you are strong, gifted, or different, right? But the truth is deeper. They only, their own inner corruption, their character is the hole that keeps them leaking. They're not pouring into things, they're pouring out constantly. So they require access, they require proximity to you. They need a host. They move through life like the walking wounded, yet they don't realize the wound is self inflicted. So when they meet someone that's anointed, someone chosen, someone spiritually covered, your presence feels like the only relief they have ever known. Not because you gave anything willingly, but because your spirit has valued their soul abandoned long ago. They traded that soul in, they sold it. Now, this is why things fall apart the moment you step back, because you were the stabilizer in their life, and you were the reason their life didn't collapse sooner. And your presence created a temporary order in their chaos, in their drama. Anyone who steals and exploits from what God placed in you is mocking God Himself because your gifts do not belong to them. Your path was not their property. Your strength is not their entitlement, and your purpose is not their playground. So to violate an anointed one is to violate the assignment God put on your life. And scripture speaks directly to this. Proverbs 17, verse 5. Whoever mocks the poor shows contempt for their maker. And poor, in the context that we're discussing, means individuals that are vulnerable, humble, righteous, and not lacking money. So anyone who exploits a righteous person is despising God Himself. God sees when people feed off your goodness, and He repays it. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 22 through 23. Do not exploit the humble or take advantage of the afflicted, for the Lord will take up their case. They think they're gaining from you, but their corruption drains them from within. Jeremiah 2, verse 13. They have dug broken cisterns that cannot hold water. That's them. They're leaking from the inside. No matter what they take, they stay empty. They attach themselves because your presence brings them life they cannot create. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. Their attachment is not based on love, it is based on survival and spiritual theft. They copy your gifts, but God says that is mocking Him. My glory I will not give to another. Anything God placed in you is untouchable. And so mimicry is rebellion. When they watch you, study you, and drain you, God sees it as spiritual robbery. Micah 2, verses 1 through 2. They plan wrongdoing. They seize fields and houses. They take what is not theirs. Now, this applies to every form of spiritual theft. Ideas, identity, gifts, creativity, as well as confidence, because they remain attached because their inner corruption is a bottomless pit. He is as greedy as the grave, never satisfied. And that is a spiritual black hole, always taking but never full. Their attachment to you is the same tactic the enemy uses, right? They all use the same tactic. Possession through access. James 4, verse 7. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Distance is protection. Distance is obedience. They believe you don't see them, but God exposes all hidden hearts. I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind. Anyone who hurts God's anointed gets the consequences of touching what is holy. Do not touch my anointed ones. This is a lifelong spiritual law that will apply to you. Their attachment is not love, it's dependence on your God given light. They don't want to need you, they don't want to admit it. But they know your energy was the strongest they ever felt, not because of you, but because of the God who covers you. And this presence gives them confidence, and it's a false sense of stability and direction because they only have borrowed strength because the relief is only temporary. And the moment you leave, their life returns to its original condition because they were not transformed, they were carried. The enemy never releases what feeds them. So people under that influence cling with the same desperation. But here, you need to understand you can checkmate them. When God pulls you out, everything they built on your presence collapses. Not because you took something back, not because you sought revenge, but because they never had anything of their own. Your departure exposes their reality. Your absence will reveal their emptiness, and your distancing yourself from them is divine judgment. And these are the individuals, once they realize, or when they realize too, your energy is different, they'll give you, they'll love bomb you, but you won't see it as red flags because they'll say things like, you're not like anyone I've ever met, because that's the first sign of spiritual addiction. And they'll say, maybe, I've never felt this way around anyone because you regulate their chaos and their drama. You calm everything down. You bring peace into their life. And they'll tell you, you calm me down. I don't know why. And that is because your presence brings order to them. And they may even say, you're the only one who understands me. And no, that's not it, because no one else tolerates them. And you're sticking around because you're highly sensitive. And they're like, wow, this person is actually sticking around. Everyone else runs away. See, there is something about you, and they'll tell you they can't explain it. And what it is, they feel the anointing that's on your life, and they don't want to lose you. They're afraid of losing their lifeline. You're the best thing that ever happened to them. And that's not them just surviving. Well, actually, it is them surviving, but it is not love, right? And once they become dependent, they'll say, I don't know how to be without you. That's their codependency. They're not bonding with you. They have become dependent. And they may even tell you, you bring out the best in me. You know why? Because they have nothing of their own to bring out. And they may even say, or their family may say, their friends may say, you changed that individual in a good way. No, you gave their spirit temporary stability, right? And when they hurt you, they say, I didn't mean it. I just need you. And that's the parasitic confession in disguise, because no one else will get them like you do, because no one else will let them drain like you currently do or like you may used to do. So they don't know what it is about you. They never connected this fast to anyone. They recognize that you're different, you're rare, and they never may have had anyone that would stick around with your energy in their life because they know you're the best they've ever had and will ever get. And that is your energy. It's not romance. You're the strongest supply they ever access because you're not a regular human. You're anointed. That's the spiritual recognition they don't see. And their soul attaches to supply, not relationship. And they feel you're covering, but can't name it because, again, no one else lets them drain them, right? And even when they say, I miss you, they miss the benefits. If they can't sleep, their spirit is unraveling without your presence, right? Everything collapses once you leave, and they need a refill. That's when the booty calls come. Come see me just for a minute, or don't quit. Stay a little longer, right? Because they need a refill, and they know, without knowing, it is something about you that makes them feel worthy of life. Their soul has become dependent upon your light. You make everything better, but it'll never be mutual. They'll make no improvements in your life, right? And when they're thinking about you, that means they're depleted. And when they need to talk, oh, there's no one else I can trust. I have to get some things off my chest. That's not trust. That's a need, right? They need permission to attach again. And manipulation, they'll give you with spiritual language, especially if they know that you're spiritual. They'll say, God brought you into my life. thinking that is what's going to connect you with them. It'll make you pause, right? And they'll say they can change, but they can't because the hole, the wound remains, and your energy is rare. And these individuals are walking around looking whole on the outside, but spiritually, emotionally, and morally, they're split open and leaking from places they don't even acknowledge. They aren't draining you because you're fragile, you're sensitive, and you're so compassionate. They're draining you because they're empty. They're empty, they're broken, and they refuse to fix it. So when someone like you shows up that is covered, purpose driven, spiritually charged, connected to God, your presence feels like the strongest lifeline they've ever touched. And that's when they begin all those phrases I told you about. That's the love bombing. Their spirit recognizes what their mind can't describe, and they think they're complimenting you, but they're really saying, I'm drama filled. And I don't know how to feel or live without this feeling, right? And they're not admiring you. They're addicted to the God who covered you. Remember that. And they attach really fast because they're bleeding out, they're leaking out. They walked into your life with holes in their soul, holes from their own actions and jealousy and greed and patterns and rejecting God's correction. Like I said, scripture already described this exact condition. They dig holes with broken cisterns so they can't hold anything. So they leak and drain and attach. So their attachment is not love, sweetie. It's dependence. And once they sense you're pulling back, their tone will shift. You're acting different now. Why you're so cold to me? I don't feel the same from you. Do you feel the way I do? You change. What's going on? You being a little selfish. Nobody will love you the way I do. Before you were the best thing that ever happened. Now they're trying to say you're a problem. And it's not because you change. It's because you stop fueling their survival. And when their supply runs low, their desperation shows. They start falling apart if you step back. They get desperate because they were leaning on your God-given strength and energy and frequency and love, not their own. And you didn't make everything better. Your presence kept their chaos from showing. So when people that knew them see you two together, they think you're the perfect couple. You're making everything better. This is what he needed or she needed because when you're here, everything works. No, you're covering everything they refuse to fix. And the moment you withdraw, their real condition becomes visible. And you may even find their loved ones begin to pressure you to get back with them. They're hurting. They need you. They can't do it without you. You're the best thing that ever happened because they don't want to deal with it either. They need somebody else to take over, right? And if you return, you're satisfying their need. It's not about you. And the spiritual truth, they are mocking God by mocking you because your energy is not your own. Your gifts are not your own. What God placed in you is sacred. And anyone who feeds off it without honoring God is not just violating you, they're mocking him. Transformation is not an option for the walking wounded who don't know they're wounded. Some people don't want healing, and we have to accept it. They just want access. They want your gifts without your commitment. They want your mind without your discipline. They want your strength and everything that you carry without your walk with God. They want what God put in you, but refuse the God who put it there. And that's why you'll get people who hurt you, and they'll circle back, and you'll try to separate or distance yourself, and you'll say to yourself, don't they get it? Don't they know what they're doing? Yes, they know what they're doing, but they need you to survive. The enemy never wants you to leave them. They need that attachment and access because they are now dependent more on you than you on them. So anyone influenced by that spirit will cling to you with the same desperation. They can't let you go. They'll stalk you. They don't even realize why they're doing it. When God pulls you out, the system they built on your presence will collapse. And it's not because you took something back and they never had anything real to stand on. They are empty, they lack intention, and they have spiritual conditions they need to work on. They treat you like a resource, not a relationship. Because when someone disconnects from God, they also disconnect from accountability. They stop seeing people as souls. They see them as supply. They don't see your heart. They see your usefulness. They don't see your value. They see your benefits. They don't see your divine assignment. They see your access point, and your access point is your compassion, your love, your helpfulness, your advice, your mentorship, your finances, your shelter. They don't approach you with care. They approach you because it's something they see that you have. They're looking at that. They're not looking at you. They don't want to learn from you. They want to drain you. They don't want your partnership. They want possession. It is something you have they would love to get close to or be a part of. They don't want healing. They need your strength to stabilize their instability. And they want your fuel because without honoring God, they don't understand love. They only understand need. And when someone only understands need, you stop being a person, you become a source of comfort, a source for their ego, their self esteem, their identity, their direction, their confidence, their peace, their ideas, and their very own survival. Never a relationship. You will always be a resource. A person who rejects God rejects his principles. And God's principle is relationship, not exploitation. Connection, not consumption. Honor, not harvesting. Anyone who refuses God's order will automatically misuse God's people. That's why the Bible has all of those verses, right? As you read and you learn and you grow. When people don't honor God, they don't honor what God placed in you. They'll never honor you. It's not a covenant. It's a supply. You are a supply chain, a continuous supply chain. And they don't have to be accountable to anyone or anything because love requires God, right? Love requires truth. And love requires humility and correction. And people who refuse to honor God cannot love because love begins with Him. So when someone disconnects from God, they lose the ability to love in a way that builds, protects, or uplifts. What replaces love is need. If a person doesn't love you and they're with you, they need you for something. You need to find out what it is. Is it a craving? Is it a void? Right? So instead of the partnership that brings loyalty, right, and reciprocity and integrity, they show up with dependency, attachment, obsession, entitlement, right? And they have an emptiness, a spiritual emptiness. And love takes maturity. So they can't offer that. And love takes God. And need takes nothing. Need demands, need consumes, need clings to you, and need will drain you. And so they confuse need with love and they think they can sell you on it. And that's why we always have to be discerning. They confuse access with intimacy, and they confuse possession with connection, and they confuse extraction with affection. They confuse dependency with devotion because without God, they don't know how to give love. They only know how to take it. They have no capacity for love, only hunger, hunger for that need. They are always in a desperate state of need. And without those things, they don't know how to treat an anointed individual. They don't know how to even honor your sensitivity and your caring. They don't understand divine assignments. They can't respect spiritual purpose or recognize sacredness. So they cannot value what God protects. So they'll approach you casually, carelessly, greedily, and with entitlement. They don't see you as God's instrument. They see you as their convenience. They don't see your calling. They see what they can take. They don't see your anointing. They see access. They don't even see your purpose because they don't care about your purpose. They see usefulness. How could this individual be of use to us or me? And there is no restraint. And without any reverence, they have no restraint. So they mishandle you. They take advantage of you. They drain you. They copy you. They exploit your gifts. They attack you. They pretend to admire you, but secretly feed off what God placed in you. And not because you lack a discernment, but because they lack order. When someone refuses God's order, they will always misuse God's people. It is inevitable. It is not personal. It is spiritual law. When God is not present, relationships are not relationships. They are extractions. They are transactions. Reverence is what keeps a person mindful of consequences. The reverence is what teaches boundaries. Reverence is what keeps the heart humble. And reverence is what stops someone from crossing lines they can't uncross. When they reject God's order, When you see and experience people who come across as spiritual and they know how to put the word God in everything, they're not in order spiritually. If they're not in order, they are eliminating the very thing that governs their behavior. And they silence that voice that says, don't lie, don't steal, don't drain this person, they're good to you. Don't misuse this person, they depend on you. Don't exploit this person's kindness, right? They're once in a lifetime. Don't touch what God anointed, they'll give to you freely. Don't pretend love while practicing need, because without reverence for God, none of these warnings exist. So they'll operate without limits, no fear of consequences, no awareness of harm, no accountability, no inner correction, no emotional discipline, and no spiritual self-control. They'll move like someone that is spiritually ungoverned. So they'll take advantage of others without the guilt. They'll drain people without remorse. They'll copy you without shame. They'll betray you without hesitation. They'll attach without genuine love. They will violate your boundaries without blinking. You are anointed. You don't think like that. You don't move like that, but they will. Because the thing that would have stopped them, reverence, is missing. And without reverence, there is nothing inside them to restrain them. There is no voice that will say stop. There is no conviction that says you're wrong. There's no spiritual weight saying you crossed a sacred line. So their actions feel natural to them. Your pain feels invisible to them because they believe they were entitled to every part of you. And this is why they can still walk and talk with spiritual lingo and live their life as though they did nothing wrong, because it feels natural to them. They believe they are entitled to whatever it is they take or exploit because another person's pain is invisible to them. And this is why the empathic, spiritually gifted ones get mistreated. And it's not because we lack value, but because they lack reverence. There's no restraint in them. There's no honor, no accountability, and they have no capacity to treat you the way God intended. They have no internal brakes, no spiritual discipline, no voice telling them enough. That's too far. You're taking advantage. You're hurting someone who helped you. And without restraint, their need becomes their morality. Their hunger becomes their behavior. So what happens next? They start taking your time, your peace, your strength, your ideas, your compassion, your emotional labor, your loyalty, your energy, your presence, your discretion, your direction, and your spiritual covering. And it's not because they're evil on the surface. It's because they lack the boundaries God gives. People without restraint treat every giver like a bottomless pit. And if you exist to pour, they will take until you are empty. They will pull from you emotionally until you're exhausted. They will see you're tired. They will see you're sleepy on the phone. They can hear it, but they depend on you spiritually. And they will continue to depend on you until you have nothing left for yourself. And so they will cling to you mentally until you're drained and confused. They will lean on you physically until your body feels lost. They will sit under your presence as if they're right. They care less about your generosity. And once you're empty, they blame you for being drained. They'll say you're acting funny. And there will be no acknowledgement of what they extracted, no accountability for how much they took from you, and no awareness of how they used you. And if they are aware, they'll pretend they are not. And so instead of admitting what they did, they point to your exhaustion as the problem. Because in their mind, your job was just to pour. Your purpose was to replenish them, and your value was the benefit they received from you. And once you cannot pour anymore, they label you as the issue. Not because you failed, but because their entitlement was never supposed to end. Thank you for visiting my channel. Stay covered, stay conscious, and stay undefeated. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Another one's coming.